Okay, welcome back. So let's continue with some refactoring. So as you remember, we just auto-wired this Corona repository. However, we should rather use a service for that, and also use constructor injection. So let's create a service file, service class. We're gonna name it as Corona service. So this is actually where all the business logic should reside. We need to annotate it with add service. And we're gonna inject our repository here. So we're gonna create a Corona repository here, and gonna create a constructor, and this way we injected it with constructor. So this is a constructor injection, dependency injection. Okay, so once we have this, we can create a save method. So we're gonna go ahead and public void save. So we're gonna give it a Corona object, and we're gonna use our recently wired repository to save it. Okay, and we're gonna use this service rather than directly the repository in our controller. Yes, so we're deleting this, and we're gonna say something like this. Corona service. We're gonna use constructor injection here as well. Yes, and we're gonna use this. So now we have this. Yeah, so we could move this whole thing into another service. So let's copy this over to Corona service. Public void populate database. Here we actually don't need. Yes, we need to annotate it with SLF4J, so we don't have problem with the loggers. Yes, so this can throw some exceptions. Here we're gonna move back to Corona repository. Okay. So once we have this, we could just pull it from here if we wanted to. Corona service dot populate database, and then this would be the same as if it were here. So now that we have this, we could perhaps create another controller. So with this controller, we're gonna populate the database, and then with this controller, we're gonna actually inject some data into this template. So we could go ahead and do something like find by last update. So we're gonna create this method. It's gonna query our database, and we're gonna give it yesterday's date. Now minus days 1. So this is a local date object that is representing yesterday. Okay, so once we have this, let's create this method, and this actually need to return a list of Corona objects. Okay, we're giving it local date, local date, and here in the return statement we're gonna write Corona repository dot, and we're gonna find by last update. As you know, we have this last update field, so last update, and between, and actually this is gonna need 2 arguments. So we're gonna give it local date time, because last update is stored in local date time, so we need to use 2 local date times to use the between keyword. Time of, and then here comes our local date time of, and here comes yesterday state, and the time is gonna be min, and the other one's gonna be max. So same as this, but with max. So from the start of the date until the end of it, we want all the data that is stored in our database. So let's go ahead and create this repository. Okay, and it's created. This is from to, and yes, so this should work. Okay, so once we have this, then we could inject this into our model. So we're going to create an attribute. And last but not least, we need a variable. We're going to name it Corona data. Okay, so this Corona data is going to hold yesterday's data, all the Corona objects that we have yesterday. And then what we do next is We could perhaps style this HTML file a little bit, so it would look a little bit nicer. So let's go ahead and add MaterializeCSS to it. So here's our CSS, and it also has a JS file. This is how I usually put the end of the HTML, so around here, and this way we can actually load our page faster. And then let's create a navigation bar. So nav, and this is gonna be using the teal class. So this is a greenish color, and then we'll have a div nav wrapper, and then finally we'll have a link. With brand logo as class, and we're gonna name it as Corona Tracker. Okay, so now we have a navbar. What we need to do now is to actually represent our table, so our data in a table. So let's create a container. And inside of this container div, we're gonna have a table. And we're gonna have a few table headers. We're going to use place for our combined key. Then we're going to have confirmed and active and recovered. Okay, and then we're gonna loop over our data. So th each, this is a for each loop. We're gonna give it our corona data, and this corona is gonna be the currently looped object. So corona data. Okay, and then with the th text, we're gonna write corona.combined key. Confirmed, active, and recovered. And let's actually start this up. Okay, so we have some problem here. Oh yes, so the problem is that we're trying to bind to the same path with multiple controllers, so this is obviously a problem. So let's change it to perhaps 2. Oh yes, so as you can see, we put the business logic into our service class and it still gets called, so this is not a problem. It's working fine. However, we should have triggered the /2 controller. Okay, so this has a problem as well. So let's debug this. Okay, so corona data. Yes, so this $sign needs to be here. So let's rebuild it. Okay, so as you can see, here's our new navbar. Here are the table headers. So our hello world variables are called as well, and there's nothing here. And we need to figure out why is that. Okay, so we have an exception here. Or perhaps this may be our previous one. Let's restart this properly. Okay, let's refresh it. Yeah, so we still have a problem and it doesn't say anything. Okay. Yes, so maybe because I was using the day before's data. So this is yesterday's data. The data that was available yesterday, so the day before's. So let's modify this to the 6th now. And let's populate the database, and then once we do this, we should be able to see some values. Okay, so let's populate it with yesterday's data. And then we're gonna fire up the number 2 path. Okay, so it's over. Oops, I shouldn't have done this. Okay, so /2. Okay, so let's try first to find everything. Find all. Okay, so this is gonna find everything. Okay, so as you can see, we have some data in our database. As you can see, the confirmed, active, and recovered for each combined key that we call place. So there's some problem with this query. So we're giving it yesterday and querying between the start and the end of yesterday. Let's add the last update as well. Update. Let's use the find all. Uh, 25th. The 7th. Oh yes. So problems here. We don't need a minus days part. Mean. Oh boy. Yeah, so the problem was that I forgot to change this main to max, because, so as you remember, I copied this over to here. I duplicated this part as the second argument. However, I forgot to change the min to a max. So we can delete this part, so we're not gonna need that. And if we hit rebuild, then this last update's gonna be disappeared. Okay, so we don't need this hello world and these test variables anymore. We can clean these up a little bit, and this database population shouldn't actually be here either. They should be a scheduled process. So ideally, we shouldn't be calling this from a controller, but we could rather do something like this. So with this add scheduled annotation, we can give this a cron job where we can set where this should be triggered, when this should be triggered. So if we say 0, 4 and 3 stars, then this is gonna be triggered every day at 4 AM in the morning, and updates our database with the latest data. And then we can go ahead to let's modify this a little bit. So rename it as test, and this is gonna be the root path. So test method, this one, yeah, test method. This is gonna be root. So if we reload the application, so restart the application, then everything's fine. So we have our scheduled process that populates our database every day, and we also have this root path that shows oh yes, so we remove this path. Okay, so this is it for now. Thank you, and see you in the next one.